Alright guys, today's tip is around differentiating the technique between exercises that are actually quite similar, particularly the effects it can have on fatigue. Pushing overhead, pulling exercises with the upper body, deadlifts and squats with the lower body. If we have poor technique, you end up working the same muscle groups. You get loads of fatigue in the shoulders or the triceps or one particular muscle group. Let's get into it. Alright, so to begin with, let's just have a quick look at a press up and have a look at what can happen with the shoulders with poor technique. So we set up for the press up, but if we come down into the press up and we drop our shoulders first and we keep our hips up, what tends to happen is we're pressing more through the shoulders. You also notice that the shoulders shrug up towards my ears. So as I come down through here, the shoulders roll and then move forwards like this rather than pulling backwards. So a simple change to your technique that can mean that you, rather than using the shoulder muscles, you pull the shoulders back away from your ears. And this means that you're going to be using your triceps and your chest. So you pull the shoulders down away from your ears and you keep them there as you drop down through the press up and on the way back as well. Now, if we have a look at a row variation, so I'm going to use single arm dumbbell row, you can see exactly the same shoulder mechanics can occur. If I pull my elbow up with the weight, but I allow my shoulder to roll down, we get this same shrug motion. Also, if I pull the weight directly up towards my shoulder, I end up shrugging my shoulder up towards my ear. And so rather than using the lat muscles down here to row, which are the target muscle, I end up again using the shoulder muscles the same as we did for the press up. So instead of pulling directly up and focusing on the elbow and the weight coming up, pull back towards your hip. Think about trying to pull from the shoulder instead. So the finished position is very different. So you're pulling back and you're squeezing the lats rather than pulling up and using the shoulder. Simple technique change totally changes the emphasis and which muscle is working. All right, now let's apply that same logic to squats and deadlifts. Two similar-ish patterns, both using the lower body, but if the patterns look similar, we're going to be overusing the quad muscles. All right, so this is what your squat ideally would look like. And the way to think about that pattern is my hips are dropping straight down towards the ground and straight back up again. So straight down and straight back up. Whereas with the deadlift, we're in this position, the hips start much higher and come up to the top and back down again. So the emphasis when I'm doing a deadlift is on the stretch that I'm feeling through my hamstrings and my glutes. The emphasis of doing a squat is on the quads and the glutes because they're different movements. But it's so easy for your deadlifts to look like your squats. The only problem is, if you're doing squats and deadlifts in the same week or in the same program, the thighs get overworked and you don't get any work going on through your posterior chain. So a simple tip to remember is deadlifts, hips go backwards and forwards. But don't really change their height. And in squats, the hips go up and down. Another simple change, but one that makes a big difference.